Let's make a trap. Okay, so I've got this thing right here, and if I hide everything else, it's very, very simple geometry. This again was created using a plane and just cutting around certain pieces. So let me see what that is. So I'll recreate this for you guys so you can see how this was created. And if I hit play, nice little animation, 15 frames. We're gonna have that go into Sketchfab for us. So how do we even get stuff like this to go into Sketchfab, and how do we have instance geometries to actually duplicate pieces, move them around in the world, and all be working at the same time? This is something that we need to be aware of, because if I were just to hit the Control D and then move this around, notice when I hit Control D to duplicate, this is moving and that one's not. So there's a way we have to deal with duplicating animations to make this happen. This isn't a texture, I would say, that is complete. This is just something to add some color to it. This is just using the floor tiles. I picked a random couple spots to move around that to give it some definition for you guys to see this. But how do we make something like this? I'm not going to go through this whole process, but I am going to give you a couple little starters there. So first thing really would be to extrude down and down. I should do up. There we go. Now that I have that, I can scale in. So now I have that look to the tile. Let me move this over so you can actually see this. Alright. Of course, I didn't grab the whole thing. You just move up and then move that over. You'll notice it still animates. Okay. So I have this thing. It's basically the same concept. It's just a little bit of a inner scale there. And then all I have to do is I'm just going to use the, let's see, where are we? Right here. Multi-cut and go over here. Go over here. And we'll just double click, scale them so they're all about equal distance there. Because our trap maker was really a perfectionist on these spikes. As they probably would be, because they're mechanisms, they should all be the same. Alright, now that I have something like this, I can just pick where I want my spikes to be. And I can have them like that, or all of these. It really depends on what you want to do. Let's do a different type this time. So I grabbed all 9 of these. I'm going to hit extrude, keep face together off, and scale in. Scale in. So now I have something like this. And let's just hit the G key to extrude again. I'll push down. So now I have something like this. Alright, how do I texture this? Well, the first thing I know, I don't need the bottom. Just get rid of it. Now I also know that the majority of this can be thought of as projection from the camera base. So if I go to UV camera based, and if I look at my UVs, it pretty much got most of it. So there's still some inner UVs in there that need some homes, so we'll fix that. But if I go into here and I assign a material, stone floor maybe, and UV shell, scale it down, and I'm trying to find one that's pretty similar everywhere. If I do something like this, it might be thrown off. Maybe this one right here. Just scaling that. Let's see what that did. Okay. So it looks like a tile. The edges are a little bit pixelated and everything because it's small. So I wouldn't use just a default like this, but for the sake of just trying to get this knocked out for you guys, this is a way that we recycle textures by making them look like something else, is just by moving them around into other areas. So I like that. I'm going to grab all of these. And what I can do here, okay, I have these. I'm going to do split, And let's go over here. Let's do a snap and stack. And you'll notice it didn't grab all of them, but it got 9 of them. We're just stacking these on top of each other, so that way they're easier to move around. And now I'm going to maybe put this in one of the darker regions of my texture sheet. I can even go like over here, and since this is an area that no one's really going to see much of, it's like shadow, I can really shrink that down, and now it's like that. Okay, so I got something like that. I do have stretching on the sides of this, and that's something that can be fixed pretty easily. I just double clicked on the edge here, scale up, and now you shouldn't have as much of a stretch going on that. Alright, so we're pretty good to make a couple of spikes here. So, and by a couple, we need 9 of them. So I'm going to go into one of these and position it where I think it should start. Scale that up and in. Alright, that looks like a spike. And before I do anything else, UV editor, I'm actually going to go and cheat again. Let's do cylindrical unwrap. And then UV's UV editor. It gave me that. I'm going to assign that stone texture again to it and scale this down. Again, is the stone texture the best one to use? Probably not. The answer actually is absolutely not, but just trying to get some textures on here. Alright, that's looking okay. The tip is wrong because it's flat, so we can just do let's just do an unfold on that, and now it unfolded it. That's good enough for me right now. Alright, duplicate, grab all 3, duplicate. Let's go top view. Okay, now that I have this, I am going to kind of eyeball this to try and get them lined up a little bit better. Alright, we'll see that that's pretty. Okay, let's combine this. Mesh, combine, and we're going to call this spike, and we're going to delete our histories, freeze it, and we'll call that spike trap. And now do the same thing. Alright, so this I want to parent to that because that's the child, and I'm going to start maybe at frame 1, and it's going to look like this. And then I'm going to go up maybe, again, this is up to you guys on when you want that to happen. Maybe at around frame 5 go to here, and I can even have it do like a double take, so it's bouncing back up. So maybe it's doing that. So kind of nice, that little bounce there. So 2 different little traps here. How do I get this into Sketchfab? Or first, how do I move this thing around? So again, Control D, move it. Hit play. Nope. How can I get this to move around? Well, if I take this thing and I go to Edit, and then I go to Duplicate Special and I hit the options, you're going to notice that there is this one spot, Duplicate Input Connections. So if I click on this and I hit Apply, close, move this over, and now if I hit play, it's part of the group. So that's pretty helpful. We can populate our whole scene with a bunch of items to do this. So that's cool. Now how would I get this in the Sketchfab? Well, if I go into File, Export Selection, I have FBX already set up. Now this would be part of our whole scene, so we would export everything at all at the same time, but just for the sake of us seeing this, I want to make sure I have animation checked on. I want to reduce the amount of time. I only need 15 frames. I also need embed media so that way we can get the images to show up. And I'm going to hit export. Now, there's a really nice write-up that I'll provide in the description that Sketchfab has broken down in here just to make sure that it's abundantly clear on how animation works. And now that I have that, let's look at also this right here. This was a test that I just ran. If I go into the view of this and I were to hit play, that's that other one. So that's looking pretty good. Let's stop that and then hit re-upload. We're gonna go back to that. So it's 2 spike trap is the one I want now. Open, replace, and let it upload. Shouldn't take that long to do this. And we'll check out if we have animations that have duplicated inside of Sketchfab. I'm going to pause this until it starts. It's all done. Hope it's done. Just threatening to pause it. Worked. Okay. And of course, it's way over somewhere else. Alright, look at that. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. And again, because we have shadows and everything that Sketchfab gives us, it gives a little bit more definition to this. So again, a lot that we could do with the post-processing for our really simple textured world. So that is how we can upload animations to Sketchfab for things like traps and like our fire and all that type of stuff.